We're talking about how to start an LLC in Pennsylvania, and this checklist that you can see behind me here is going to walk us through everything you need to know when you're getting that LLC set up. But before we really jump into it, I want to talk about how to avoid the LLC dumpster fire. Now, I call it this because it's the situation that people run into where they set up their LLC, but they don't fully understand everything they need to know about it, and then a year or two out, all of a sudden they have massive issues that can cost them tens of thousands of dollars in litigation if they don't know these things. By the end of this video series, you're going to understand terms such as piercing the corporate veil, registered agents, commingling funds, pass-through taxation, and then how the LLC renewal process actually works in Pennsylvania. But to really understand what those terms are and how they apply to you setting up your new LLC, you really need to understand what an LLC actually does for you. I mentioned this is a video series. So video 1 that you're watching right now is a checklist of how to set up an LLC in your state. But in video 2, we're going to be exploring the different options of LLC formation. So you can go through the state website, you can go through online tools, or you can go through an attorney. There's just different questions you want to ask yourself to determine which situation best fits your needs. And then in video 3, we're going to talk about how to maintain your LLC along with bonuses. Why don't we get started here in understanding exactly what your LLC does for you? So an LLC is a limited liability company, and with that, it offers limited liability protection, and it also offers pass-through taxation, which we're going to explain both of those things right now. Now, to better understand this, why don't we talk about this right here, this visual that you see. This is owning a coffee shop without an LLC. So we're going to be using a coffee shop example throughout this video series. And what you can see here is the owner here is in the middle. And on the left-hand side, his personal home, personal car, personal bank account are connected to him. But then on the right-hand side, the owner also has all the business assets. So the actual location, the point of sale, the business bank account, the espresso machine, the lights, all of this is directly connected to the owner when you just own the business as like a sole proprietor. So you don't set up an entity such as an LLC. But a smart business owner is going to own an LLC, and then that LLC owns the coffee shop. What that looks like is this right here. On the left-hand side, there's the business owner, but they have their personal assets, again, business bank account, car, personal home, those things. And then on the right-hand side are all the assets that the LLC owns. This red line in the middle is really important. This division right here, that is called the corporate veil. Now, if you remember, we talked about a term such as called piercing the corporate veil. What that means is if you're sued one day, right? Somebody gets hurt at your coffee shop, they get an attorney, and that attorney is suing you. What they're going to try to do is a term called piercing the corporate veil. And basically what that means is they're going to try to find cracks in your LLC. So are there things that you didn't set up correctly, or you're not maintaining it properly, these types of things. And if they're able to do that, what they can do is they can erase the corporate veil or pierce the corporate veil and get rid of this division and then come after your personal assets. That's why an LLC is so important, because it draws that division between your personal and business assets. But it's also important to understand how to maintain it and set it up correctly so that they can't pierce the corporate veil and then come after your personal assets. And that's why this video series is so important, because we're going to talk about all these little things that you should know when you're getting your LLC set up and maintaining it as well. Quickly, I want to do an explanation of pass-through taxation and how that works for your LLC. It's not really needed today, but it's good to understand that when it comes to tax time, because of course that's going to come up, and just having a better understanding of this is really important. So the way that pass-through taxation works with an LLC is you have the Acme Coffee LLC still. It grossed $140,000. It had $90,000 of expenses and $50,000 of net income. The IRS is not taxing Acme Coffee LLC, it's taxing the owner of that LLC. So what happens is this $50,000 flows through to your personal tax return. So I just wanted you to be aware of how that exactly works, because that'll help you come tax time. And later in this video series, we're actually going to talk about strategies that you can do down the line if you are making $40,000 to $50,000 of net income to potentially save on taxes in your situation. Because again, this video isn't just about like, hey, get your LLC set up, here's how to do it. It's also, I want you to get you thinking about what you should know 2-3 years out as well, so that you're making the best decisions for your business and optimizing it so it's doing what you want it to do for you, so that the business is optimized and you can get the full value of being a business owner. All right, let's jump into the checklist here, and we're talking again about Pennsylvania. So the first thing you need to know is that you can get this checklist for yourself right here on screen. This is a Notion doc. This is a free document for you, and I mentioned that you want to explore the bonus and glossary. Quickly, I'm going to go over some of those bonuses. There is an AI chatbot in here. This is really cool because sometimes things get updated and things change. So I can say how to start an LLC, and I'll just put in PA. And what this will do is the chatbot will pull information for you and give you this detailed step-by-step instruction for you that's going to be updated within your state. And if you have questions like how do I register an EIN, which we're going to be explaining later in this video as well, this can do this for you as well and give you a detailed list of how to do this. So we'll get into all these items here. One thing I'll say, free charity opportunity. When you look in the description of this video, you'll find a link for this Notion document, but you will not find affiliate links. That's because I want to educate you on everything you should know and then also determine like what's the best route for you. Is it using the state website? Is it using online legal tools or a business attorney? But in the next video, we will be talking about different services that you can use, and I will have affiliate links for those in the next video. All right, and then glossary of terms. If there's things that are mentioned in this video, just know that you can go down here for extra information there as well. And this will only be getting more detailed with time as we fill out this document more and more. The yearly accounting calendar. This is really helpful too. It's like when you own an LLC, these are important accounting dates. And again, we'll get to that in a future video as well. Now, decide which route you want to go. Is it state site, LLC Services Online, or an attorney? We're going to be discussing this in a lot of detail in the next video, but I wanted to give you like a 30,000 foot view of what you need to think about in this. What you need to know at the state site is that on the pros side of things, there's not a lot of upsells. There's an expedited processing fee if you want that can get your LLC moved up in the list. But besides that, there's not a lot of extra features or upsells, which is nice, but it's also a con as well because the state site's not going to help you with things on the federal level, such as the EIN, which we discussed and we'll get into in the future of this video. And it's also not going to help you with things like your business banking account or just getting like important notifications and updates. Typically, the state is really delayed with those things, and these private services are a lot better at informing you throughout the process of what you need to do. The online services, they're great for guiding you through. They have great tool tips. It's very streamlined and easy, but there are a lot of upsell opportunities. So there's a chance that you may get into a package or a feature that's not right for your situation. And again, we're going to get into that in a future video. And then a business attorney, there's certain questions you may want to ask yourself, and those typically are around things such as like, do you have employees or offices out of state? Do you have a business partner? These types of questions. If you have a more complex situation, sometimes it makes more sense to go with a business attorney. But again, we'll dial in on that in the next video. Next here, decide on a business name for your LLC. My one piece of advice here is that a lot of times people think that it's really important what they name their LLC, and it doesn't have to be the case. And the reason for that is this is simply the name of your LLC, but not necessarily your brand name. You can set up something called a fictitious name or a DBA, a doing business as, underneath your LLC. So then you have your LLC, which could just be your name, LLC, or something like that in your state. But then you can have a brand name underneath that the public sees and is familiar with. So don't put a lot of pressure on yourself for naming the LLC. But what you do want to do is once you come up with that name is you want to search the availability of your business name. Now it's hard to see because I'm in dark mode here just because it works a little bit better with the screen behind me. But there's a state directory here. And what you can do is scroll down and find your state in Pennsylvania. And then once you click this, it's going to give you the direct database where you can do searches. So this business entity search. So then you'll click right here, free business search. And then if I do something like this and then just search, what you'll find is no results were found. But let's say that I want to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. What happens when you search that? Here you're finding all these different entity types here that relate to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So of course you can't have that name within Pennsylvania. So once you have a name and then you've ran it through here, and again, I'm just doing this for effect because we can see that there are no results found. Now you're good to go that you can register that LLC name. Now we're gonna get the LLC set up, and then registering your name and then writing your articles of organization. All that starts here again with another state directory list here. The articles of organization, essentially what it does is these bullet points right here. You're going to lay out these things for the state and let them know your company name, your primary business address, registered agent, duration, purpose, management, tax treatment, and authorized signature. When you go to Pennsylvania here, it's going to open up this resource here. And what I want to do is just kind of start picking apart this articles of organization because it'll help make those other items make more sense, because I'm sure some of those things you're like, well, I'm not really sure what you mean by like a registered agent or those types of things. So first thing worth highlighting here is there's a fee of $125 when you file your articles of organization with the state. There is no way around that fee, and it's only going to go up in the future. And the other thing that's worth mentioning is that we do have a LLC cost calculator. And the way this works is you select select your state, all right? And then what it does is it gives you the top 5 online legal services online, but it'll also show you your state filing fee, which is going to be $125, but there's an annual fee of $70 in Pennsylvania. We'll get into this in more detail, but just know that each year you'll want to renew that LLC. It's going to cost you $70, and there's no way around those fees. It just is what it is when it comes to those, but I just wanted to make you aware of that as we're going through this. So you're going to name your the name of the limited liability company, and we've already researched it and confirmed that you have a name that has been taken. And then you're going to complete A or B, but not both. So A is the address of this limited liability's registered office in this Commonwealth is, or B, the name of this limited liability company's registered office, provider, and county of venue. What a registered agent is a third party that handles important documentation and communication. Now, let's go back to that example of somebody suing you with a coffee shop. When you get sued, the attorney suing you is going to send you a service of process notice. So this is something like you have to show up to court essentially. Well, the registered agent will take that information and then make sure that you're getting that and that you're showing up to court and you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's throughout that process. So the registered agent does a couple things. It helps handle that important documentation and communication, but they also create a little bit of distance between you and your business. So now when somebody looks up your registered agent, it'll be this third-party service that you're using. So in this particular case, if you hire a third party, you can put that on this line, and then also their county here as well. The name of each organizer, so that's just simply who owns the LLC. If it's just you, you would just put your name in there. Effective date of the certificate of organization. Here you can just put out a future date of when you want this LLC to be formed, and then registered professional companies only. Here you can see in the state of Pennsylvania, they do have restricted professional companies, and this is just stuff like chiropractor, dentistry, law, etc. So these are ones that if they do apply to you, you'll want to check that box. And then benefit companies only. This limited liability company shall have the purpose of creating general public benefit. Probably not your situation, but they get pretty detailed in Pennsylvania. And then for additional provisions, other certificate, if any, attach an 8.5 by 11. Probably not going to apply to you there. So you can certainly go this route of filing this with the state. And again, you can just print up this PDF and mail it in with a check, or you can go through the online process, which is a lot easier. And then you're going to assign a registered agent. What I'd recommend is use a professional service. Don't do it yourself. Don't hire your friend down the street to do it. There's professional services out there that can do this for you. And there's actually other services out there that can give you a professional registered agent free for the first year. And then you're going to create and sign the LLC operating agreement. All right, now we're going to talk about after your LLC formation, you need to set up an EIN. So there's an IRS link here, and an EIN is an employer identification number. And basically what it is a social security number, but for your business. So the IRS can identify your business easily. This is something that you don't necessarily need to have set up immediately, but it makes sense to get it set up right away. And that's because once you have employees and they're on payroll, you're going to need an EIN. It also helps legitimize your business in the eyes of let's say you're setting up a business bank account or you need to get a loan. These are things that are oh, this person has it together. They already have their EIN versus somebody who's what's an EIN, right? It gives a little bit more confidence to your business. So this link will walk you through how to do this. There's also online legal tools that will do this for you as well. But I just wanted to make you aware of that. Next, what you want to do is obtain business licenses and permits for your LLC. Super important here. A lot of times people get the LLC set up and they're like, okay, I'm all ready. I can go and set up my business and start running it. Not necessarily. It kind of depends on what type of business you are. If you remember when we were looking at the articles of organization, it went into chiropractic, law, dentistry. These are all different types of businesses that are going to require some sort of license or permit to operate. The best example I can always give you is if you're opening up a brewery and you're brewing alcohol and you're serving alcohol, obviously you're going to need licenses and permits. Sometimes those licenses and permits are on the federal level. Other times they're needed on the state level, and other times they're needed on the local level. It could be all three. Another example is a construction company, right? These are going to be things where you're going to need licenses and permits. And there's a nice SBA resource here that kind of walks you through how to research this. Also, those online legal tools, they will do that for you as well for an extra fee. So that's a cool thing about those services as well. So that's basically the checklist of getting your LLC set up. And as you can see up here, we talked about things such as piercing the corporate veil, registered agent, pass-through taxation, but we didn't really get into commingling funds or how the LLC renewal process works. And those are things that we're going to be getting into in the future videos here. And in the next video, what we're going to be talking about are the fees associated with starting up your LLC. We're going to be getting into this cost calculator that's embedded right into the Notion doc here. And that's going to be really nice so you know exactly what your LLC is going to cost down to the dollar, not only right now, but 5 years out. We're going to explain these star ratings between the 3 different services. And then we're also going to be looking at why state websites become a pain over time. And then lastly, we're going to get into questions worth asking. This is mainly geared at why you may want to consider going with an attorney or a CPA as opposed to the state website or an online legal tool. So again, you'll find that video on the screen right here, and be sure to get this Notion doc by clicking the link in the description below so you can follow along throughout this video series. I'll catch you in the next video.